Trophied up. Yeah. Hey, do yo. Trophied up. Yeah. Hey, do yo. Trophied up. Do your dance when the G's up. G. Spaced out, got me geeked up. 10 toes on the west, can I beat us? You cannot. Shining every time they meet us. Rack them up, since 96. Yeah. Been number one in LA, something slight, that's the gist.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talkin Galaxy. Today, we are going to be going over the Vancouver Whitecaps preview and San Diego. But first, I'd like to introduce all of our guests. We got Griffin. Welcome to the pod, Griffin. We got Galaxy Runs LA again. And we got, finally, LA Galaxy Memes joining us today, and this is the crew. This is the crew for tonight, and yeah, let's jump right into it, guys. First of all, we had LA versus San Diego, which was a very interesting game. We'll go over that a bit more soon, but before the match, we had Ricky Puig with the MLS Cup carrying it out. They unveiled the banner, and yeah, any thoughts on that, Griffin?
Yeah, I mean, this was my personal highlight of the game. We'll get back to the rest of the game later, but this was the high point for me. It was good to see him out there, good to see him smiling. Good to see the banner. A couple of MLS teams haven't done the greatest job with banners in past years, but, we did well. It was just good to see everyone back. I wish I could have been there. It was good to see the digs bumping, a lot of people there. Yeah, great pregame scenes, and yeah, definitely the highlight of the night.
Yeah, Galaxy Runs LA.
I think you messed up and meant to say the only highlight of the game because there was nothing else. So yeah, it was really cool seeing all the supporter groups getting involved, the firefighters and the law enforcement. So it was a really nice touch to everything.
Yeah.
Memes.
Well, I mean, yeah, I agree. That was the only highlight of the game. Even though the banner wasn't that good, it was kind of like a little chopped. But it is what it is. It was pretty cool though when I first saw it and seeing Kobe Jones walk out with the trophy onto the field and then handing it to Ricky. It was definitely a highlight. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, what's it called? That banner thing was not great. When I was filming it and I posted on my story, and half of it came down and the other half didn't. I look up at the second half and the other half's down. Like, oh, all right. So
I didn't see that on the broadcast. They missed that. They only showed. They just showed like what it looked like after it had dropped. So I didn't realize it messed up there. But
I was right in front of Kobe Jones when they first came down with the MLS Cup, because me, Jody, and my friend Michael were going down to ACB. I have season tickets in ACB, and it was packed. It was overflow. So we were going like up and down the aisles trying to search for seats. But we happened to, while we were going up the aisle, we saw Kobe right in front with the MLS Cup before the game. Yeah, I got a great picture on my Instagram of it. I could like reach out and grab the MLS Cup. Like, it was just right there. So that was super cool. But yeah, it's nice to see Ricky again. I know he flew in this past week from Spain, and I saw his TikTok story, and he's already back, I'm pretty sure. So I know they did a lot of media stuff with the new kit and him, and as well as the championship rings. That is also on our agenda. You see on his finger right there, he has the ring. It's any thought? Do you guys like the design of the ring? I really dig it.
Oh yeah,
I like it. I think I like how they're so personalized with the numbers, the names, things like that. I think you're not going to see a picture with Ricky with him not in the ring for months. I think he's not taking that thing off. I like seeing the social media team posted a couple of pictures of like guys walking into the stadium. And like Cuevas, I think, was holding it out. Fagundes was showing it off. Guys were feeling it, which was good. Good to see.
Yeah, and rightfully so. He should be wearing that ring, flexing it on everyone. I do the same. So yeah. Got no problem with Ricky flexing it until he comes back, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And I want to give a quick shout out to RM Photos. He took this photo. Got a bunch of good Ricky photos, so shout out to him.
Yeah.
I think you're muted, Peyton. All right. Next topic, we're going to go into the starting 11 and go into kind of what happened, what went down on Sunday, which was not great. Obviously, we got Surreal, Snobby, and Royce in the midfield. I feel like that was our weak point almost because everything was supposed to go through there and nothing really succeeded. Uh, and then our back line stayed the same from MLS Cup bar Mikovic. I think he had a great game personally. I'm not sure about you guys. What do you guys think about Mikovic's performance?
I think this is something. I mean, I know me and Peyton talked about this a little bit at first. When I first saw the opening goal, I thought it was Micevic's fault. Upon a little bit of further review, I'm kind of 50-50 blame on him and Garces. I think that maybe a little more blame on Garces than Micevic. And I think Micevic definitely redeemed himself throughout the game. He had a great save on a 1v1 from Super Lozano. And Garces went on to have another mistake later. I think there's been a lot of discourse with Micevic on social media and things like that. I think it's a little overblown. I think we saw McCarthy make mistakes last year, and he got the chances to redeem himself. You have to give Micevic that same chance. I think about the McCarthy mistake. I think it was home to Houston. He gave it away to Latif Blessing, kind of right in front of the goal, and he tapped it in. So I still have faith in him. I mean, he's a young goalie. He's finding his feet, and I think Garces is just as much to blame, if not a little bit more than Micevic. But on the lineup as a whole, I think that going into the game, I had no complaints. I mean, I think given who has injured, it was, what kind of the best 11 we could put out. Obviously, in hindsight, it's like we didn't play great. Maybe people would have liked to see different people, but we're not that deep right now. So I think this is, hate it or love it, this is kind of our first string right now. So we're going to have to roll with it.
I think your mic is still a little disconnected, Peyton.
Yeah, something's going on.
I'll go on though. I don't think the error was too much on Garces. I think, as a keeper, you shouldn't be playing that ball in the air, especially if it's right outside the 18 at the edge. Obviously it's a bad touch from Garces and he slips and, ends up to a goal. But at the same time, I feel like Misovic's number one issue as a goalie, as we've seen, is like him playing with his feet. A lot of the times when he pings the ball, I feel like in preseason it just went out, and that's something he needs to work on because we as a team we build out from the back, and you just need to have a keeper that is good with his feet. And it's not totally his blame. He did have good saves. I'm not going to just jump on him and say he should be benched. I still have faith in him. I think he should see the starting 11 a little bit more, and that's it, to be honest.
Yeah, and this is not the only mistake that we kind of seen in MLS. What's it called? Yamar and Seattle scoring own goals. Dynamo's keeper gave a goal to Dynamo gave it to Dallas, yes. And then what's it called? Kamal Miller on Portland gets a red card on the 5th minute or something crazy. So it's just those first game jitters start of the season. So I wouldn't be worried about this.
Yeah, it's a lot of early season rust that you see in MLS. I mean, you got guys getting sent off. You got backlines all over the place. And it's not just this year. It's happened before. I think back to St. Louis's first game ever. I think it was Kip Keller played like Joao Klaus, like completely in. Things like that happened the first week of MLS. Obviously, it's not good to see, but things like that are going to happen. I think another interesting part of this lineup was seeing Lucas Sanabria for the first time in a competitive environment, not from Coachella, because we only saw him for 45, maybe 60 minutes in Coachella. Yeah, what'd you guys think of him? Him and Christian Ramirez, the two new guys. What'd you guys think of them?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to RM Photos as well as BZ Films, who are amazing. But going back to the lineup, I just wanted to bring up an important point here. I know I've seen a lot about John McCarthy needing to start in net going forward. I heavily disagree. When you look at that play with Novak Micevic and Amiro Garces, I look at two things there. One, I think Amiro Garces wasn't wide enough. I think he was way too close to the goal, meaning that when Novak Micevic is playing it out of the back, I think he expected him to be a bit more wide than he actually was, when in reality, Amiro Garces was like right next to him. And second of all, if you're a professional player, you have to make that first, you have to get that first touchdown. Like, if you're a professional soccer player, you have to be able to get that first touch. I get it. It's high up. It's not the best ball. It's not directly to your feet, but regardless, you still have to be able to make that first touch and even just clear the ball. In my opinion, I lean a bit more towards Garces. And then he had another giveaway. in I believe the second half that almost cost us another goal. Luckily, it was a great save by Novak Mitrovic. But listen, I'm here to say, regardless if John McCarthy was in net, we lose this game, because I think that the mistakes that were made, San Diego, we're just more clinical on the night, but more importantly, we had nothing going forward. I was pretty disappointed. I think you have to see a lot of chemistry with Lucas Sanabria still integrating into the squad. I was just curious how you guys made of the two debutants, Lucas Sanabria and Christian Ramirez.
I think Sanabria is pretty quiet. I mean, again, he's going up against Luca Del Toro, who's a national team player. So this was a tough test coming in right at the start. But I mean, we paid $5 million from him, and he can't do the job. It's off his first game, but if this continues, I'm gonna start having to question him. I think Winder came in and he proved himself. I think he did better than Sanabria, so something to keep an eye out for with a bunch of fixture congestion coming up. So maybe Winder gets a start on the weekend.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on Sanabria. I think it's especially a little scary when you compare it to Mark Delgado, like we saw most recently, and that's obviously where fans' brains are going to go. He's, whether you like it or not, basically the replacement of Mark Delgado. And he didn't do what Mark Delgado does, but again, it's one game. No one really played well, so I think he needs to be given the time. Christian Ramirez, same thing, wasn't great, but also didn't get much service. It's kind of a double-edged sword. One more thing, back to the Mitrovic thing. I agree with you, Peyton, that Garza's starting position was wrong, especially if you rewind that clip a bit. Mitrovic plays a pass to Cerrillo, an entry ball into Cerrillo, and Cerrillo plays it back to Mitrovic. Once that ball leaves Cerrillo's foot and starts going back to Mitrovic, that's Garza's cue to get wide. And it happens with Yoshida on the left side, but Garza needs to go on the other side to put him into that space. And I also agree with the fact if there's any doubt in his mind that he can't control that or if he's going to turn that over, it's got to just go. And it's easy to say in hindsight. And it's not just the slip, right? He miscontrolled it already. Even if he didn't slip, he's not getting to the end of that. So I think that's a key part that people aren't seeing is they're just seeing the Mitrovic ball, which obviously it's not a good ball. Like you can't sugarcoat it. But that ball itself didn't concede us a goal.
Yeah, just to rub salt in the wound here, we just got word that Mark Delgado scored for LAFC right now to put them in front of Colorado in CONCACAF. But yeah, thoughts on the debut, Memes, both of these players?
They were pretty quiet. It was nothing special, to be honest. Sanabria, he did have a tough challenge with Luca Del Toro. Luca Del Toro, I rate him pretty high. For Christian Ramirez, though, not a good debut, in my opinion. I felt like he was too slow to get to the ball sometimes. Obviously, they did put the ball a little too ahead of him at times, thinking, they had Dejan up front, but it's Christian Ramirez. Miguel Berry did come in for him and did look better, which I'm not going to be surprised if we see Berry at least start next game or the next few games. It's early on in the season, so we can experiment with the lineup. I'm not going to be surprised if Berry starts or if we see Winder start for Royce or something like that. And I also just want to mention the substitutions were like whatever. But one substitution that caught my eye that kind of didn't make sense was Ruben Ramos going in. He didn't do too bad, but I would have thought Tucker Lepley would have got minutes over him just because he's a little bit more experienced and, he has played an MLS game. So I would kind of thought that was weird. He got no minutes.
Yeah, going off Ramirez, I think it almost seemed like our front three were on like different pages. Like Ramirez is checking back to the ball and Peck sending a ball through. Fagundes is checking back and he's not getting the ball. It just seemed like we just weren't very connected. I don't know if that's to do with the chemistry or what, but that's something that we need to get in order before we have a bunch of games. Obviously, Fagundes was super quiet. He played full 90, I believe, and I can't remember a highlight of his. He needs players around him to play off of. He's not someone that's going to be running through him. And the whole left side kind of just got like secluded. They forced it to the right side, and obviously it worked for San Diego, and we lose 2-0.
Yeah, here's my grievance I have is that I feel like now that Joseph Paintsil is out, and look, I've seen takes that are like, it doesn't matter. We're still not going to be better if Joseph Paintsil is here with the team. I fully disagree. Not to bag on Diego Fagundes. He does not play the same role as Joseph Paintsil, meaning that when we're attacking, and this is the final score. No shock, no shocker here if you've paid attention. San Diego 2, LA 0. But I feel like the Galaxy are so lethargic going forward because all they do, if you're defending against the Galaxy right now as it stands, you press Peck with 2 men. You press Peck with 2 men as soon as he gets on the ball and you force him backwards. You force him back to Miki Amane or Amira Garces. And every time I couldn't count the amount of times that I saw them build up through the left wing, realize that they have nothing going on there and be like, let's get it to our best guy. And then they spray it wide to Gabriel Peck. And I got to admit, San Diego set up very well tactically against the Galaxy because they double press Gabriel Peck. If you're defending against the Galaxy right now, you double press Gabriel Peck and you force him to go backwards. And we didn't. I don't feel like we got out of our half much. I feel like everything was just trying to build up. And, it eventually leads to mistakes. You saw this a lot last year. It's not. When we conceded last year, it wasn't often off of open play, but when it happened, it was because we lost the ball in bad spots. And I feel like we did that again here and we shot ourselves in the foot. This game is not about San Diego outplaying us. All credit to them. Congrats on your first win. Both teams were not playing that great, if we're being honest, but we just happened to be the one to blink first. And that's what ended up costing us, in my opinion. But feel free to disagree on that.
No, I agree. I just think to begin with, the game was just awful. I was watching in my house sitting on the couch and it was just so boring. If it wasn't a Galaxy game, I would have turned it off. It was not a fun game to watch. I think also the lack of pain. So I think you hit it right on the head. There's a blueprint for teams to beat us right now. Because I think Christian Ramirez works well when you have wingers that are high and wide and want to get in behind, so Peck and Payne. So when you have Fagundes, who also wants the ball to feet, similar to Ramirez, as a back four, it's easy. It's a lot easier. You focus on the threat, who's Gabriel Peck, and you let them get it to feet. You let them turn, they're 50 yards out from goal. Then you can defend. You defend 1v1. Because I think with Fagundes and Ramirez, they kind of cancel each other out there. You got 2 guys who want it to feet. You're not going to get through. Back on the Fagundes point, the only thing I remember him doing is he was on the byline in the first half and he tried to either chip the keeper or clip the ball to the back post, and it just went completely over the goal and went out for a goal kick. That's genuinely the only thing I can think that he did for the entire game. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe he needs to be moved centrally. I haven't loved him whenever he's played centrally for us, but it also hasn't happened that much. But yeah, we'll see. And we'll talk about Vancouver later, but we're expecting there to be at least a couple changes for that game. So
yeah.
Maybe Nascimento goes to the left wing and Fagundes slots in for Marco at the 10. Because whatever that was on Sunday, that did not work, and that will not work. What's it called? Vancouver plays a back 5, so it's going to have even more space in behind. So we need that threat. We need people running in behind. We need Peck. We need Nascimento. We can't have Fagundes and Ramirez up top holding up the play, because that just isn't going to work against a 5-back.
Yeah, and I mean, you've heard it time and time again, but it's true. Royce was not great over the weekend. He was actually worse than not great. He was pretty awful. But even if Royce was fit and firing, I don't think he starts in Vancouver because it's turf. It's a game right before CONCACAF Champions League game. I don't think you see him start in Vancouver. I would be super surprised if he's in that starting lineup. The only way I see him starting is if he plays, 45 minutes. I don't think he plays 60, and it seems like he's kind of only 60 minutes fit right now anyway. So I would be surprised you maybe move Fagundes centrally. Maybe it's Tucker Lepley at the 10. Maybe it's Elijah Winder gets to move up to the 10. Whatever it is, we'll see.
Yeah, memes, and then we'll transition to Vancouver.
Yeah, so the game was really boring. It was not an enjoyable game. It just really lacked a lot of creativity. There was no creativity whatsoever. It felt kind of rushed going forward. The only type of creativity he had was when Peck had the ball. I felt like he was the only one really working, him and Yamane. It just felt really choppy since the start. You can tell that they lack chemistry, and you know that something's missing, and that thing missing is Puig. But we're gonna be without him for another to August, September. Yeah, so we have to find that. Yeah. We have to find that creative player, to kind of fill in his role, and hopefully we have Nascimento playing on the left wing for these next couple of weeks. That's going to be our only kind of solution, honestly, because this team really just likes everything. They lack creativity. It feels like it was a really slow-paced game, and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one more thing on Ramirez. There's a comment just came in from West Brandon Claus. It says Ramirez should play center forward like Bobby Firmino, focusing on assisting the wingers while scoring some goals in the process. At Columbus, he was a right forward, often assisting Cucho and Rossi. I think that's the vision that the front office has for him. But when he plays so deep, you need to have wingers that are high and wide. And once Paintsel comes back, that's going to be his role. But that's not going to work when you have a winger like Fagundes right now. So I think yes, that's going to work eventually, but for right now, you need someone who's a box presence, dragging defenders away, so Peck has space to run at people.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the last point I wanted to touch on is that I think Marco Royce is a lot different than Ricky, because I think in this game you'd see Ricky drop back and be like, give me the ball. Like, I'm going to drop deep and I'm going to receive the ball. Marco Royce is not that guy. Marco Royce is not the guy who's going to drop deep and receive the ball. He's like, I believe, 37 years old. You need to get the ball to his feet, and he didn't get that much. So he wasn't good, but I'll also back him a little and say that, he needs to get the ball at his feet a bit better. But let's go right into Galaxy versus Vancouver here. The Galaxy will travel up to Vancouver to play the Whitecaps on Sunday at 4 p.m., I believe. Another Sunday night soccer game. And I think this is a very interesting matchup, if I have to say. I think there will be a lot of rotation in this game because we'll have CONCACAF on Wednesday. We'll have a CONCACAF preview next pod, but I think that the Whitecaps, coming off of a huge win against Portland, 4-1 in Portland, are going to be very eager against the Galaxy. They're going to have the blueprint now, and I'm a bit worried about this matchup. But, yeah, thoughts on Vancouver, guys?
It's gonna be a tough game. Vancouver obviously got that 4-1 win. They also have some games that they need to rotate for, but I mean, they're a good team. It's gonna be a tough battle. I don't think we see Royce, as Griffin said earlier, as it is a turf place, BC place. Very nice stadium, can't lie. I'm hoping for the dub. Not optimistic though. We'll see who starts. I don't think that we should see Royce. I hope we see Nascimento start. I think that'll be a highlight if he does. And I hope we should do better. I hope we should improve. That's all we need at this point in the season.
Yeah, I think one thing, I think it's a 2 p.m. kickoff. I think it's 4 p.m. for me, so I think that'd be 2 p.m. for you guys.
Yeah, I was thinking your time zone.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I agree. I think there's going to be decent amount of rotation. I'm scarred from Vancouver. I've seen us played so bad there so many times. I think back to that Chris Mavinga game when he scored an own goal and then got sent off or something. I never liked playing in Vancouver. I know we played well there last year, but we played well everywhere last year, so you can't really compare to last year. But yeah, I think we see a decent amount of rotation. I think I would love to see Nascimento. I think Winder gets the start, and I hope he does. I don't think you see John McCarthy. I think you see John McCarthy in CCL on Tuesday. I think you might see Julian Aude in this game. Maybe Zonka. Depends how much Vanny wants to rotate. Maybe Cuevas if he's healthy. Guys like that, I think it's going to be a decent amount of rotation. You're not going to see a full 11 change because we shouldn't do that, and we don't have the depth for that right now. But you're going to see, I think, a healthy 3 or 4 changes. So,
yeah.
And I think it's good. I think guys, if guys don't perform on the weekend, other guys deserve to get their chance. So competition's healthy. So we'll see if anyone shows up and takes their chance.
Mm-hmm. Memes?
Yeah, so I do think there's going to be a lot of rotation in this game. I definitely see Winder over Royce, Aude over Nelson. I do see that as well. And I'm really hoping that Nascimento gets to start. I don't know what his whole visa situation looks like, but it would just be really nice to see him, get the minutes and see how he fits in with the team, how he is as a player, playing in the new league at such a young age. I just want to note that Vancouver was playing, Portland was playing with 10 men for like about 80 minutes, if I'm not wrong, which can contribute to the 4-1 win. So just want to note that. But I do think this game is going to end as a tie. I don't see us losing, but it is a tough game. We always do play somewhat like iffy in Vancouver. So I'm just hoping for the best. And yeah.
Yeah, Vancouver obviously they have a pretty techy midfield. They got Kubas, they got Vite, and then they got Ryan Gold. That guy's a baller. So we need to have our A game in the midfield. I think Winder gets a start. We need that physical presence in the midfield as Vancouver's midfield is pretty small, I feel like. At least watching it on TV. So I think we need that physical presence. So I think my predicted midfield would be Cerrillo, Winder, and Sanabria. So we'll see if that comes to fruition.
Yeah. Griffin?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Winders, I would put a lot on Winder starting. I think that, Vancouver's a tough one because I don't rate the roster that much, but they have game changers, right? They have Ryan Gauld, they have Brian White. Those are two guys that you give them space, you give them a chance, they're going to take it. I think Cerrillo is kind of the key to this match. We've seen Cerrillo be able to pocket people before. Cerrillo and Garces, those two. If Cerrillo and Garces can take care of Brian White and Ryan Gauld, then it's up to us to attack and create chances and score. But I think with players like down the field, it could very easily get out of hand. I don't think it'll get out of hand, but you got to keep them at bay, and then you got to create your chances and take your chances. I think the whole entire narrative of the season and all of the doom and gloom that's on the team right now will instantly vanish if we get 3 points this weekend, and that's just how it works. It's a reactionary sport. But if we get 3 points in Vancouver, all of a sudden, we're fine, and people are going to start going from we're screwed to, oh, look, we won and Painsel's coming back soon, things like that. So yeah, I think Fagundes is a key one this weekend too. He played very well in Vancouver last year. I think if he can replicate that, that'll be key. If he gets to start, I think he will. I think he's the type of guy that'll get it. But yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see. Vancouver's tough though.
Yeah, I agree. I think there'll be plenty of rotation. I'm also looking at Julian Ade, and for John Nelson, I actually liked when Ade was in. I think he provides a lot more going forward than Nelson, even though I think Nelson's the better defender. I would also expect to see maybe Maya Yoshida get a rest. I mean, the guy never rests, but the fact is we have a very, very busy schedule with CONCACAF coming up. And if you want to make a deep run in that tournament, you can't have a guy, especially considering that the Galaxy might have to go to Central America, all the way to Central America on a flight. You got to rest your guys against Vancouver and just you got to take the risk because the following MLS games at home, you want to win your home games. So, your road games, you're not, you'd like to get a point. Obviously, wins the goal, but a point is fine here. I think the Galaxy get a point. I don't, Maya Yoshida said it last year. You don't great teams don't lose twice in a row. And I think it's the same thing here. It would be heartbreaking to see our home streak and our not losing 2 games in a row streak get broke within a week. Would be heart shattering. But I don't think it happens. I think we salvage a point out of here. If I had to put a prediction on it, I would say 1-1 draw. I don't think there'll be much action in this game, but I think we'll do enough to get a point. And yeah.
I have a quick question. I think if Zonka does get to start, who do you guys think is the armband?
We saw Peck in preseason with it, I remember.
True.
So I think
That'd be
Peck stacks him
interesting.
up.
Peck.
I could honestly see. I could see Zonka getting it maybe because he's a veteran presence and he's like the center back. I'd be very surprised if Peck got it. Honestly, I know he was captain in preseason, but I don't know. I would just kind of be a bit shocked if he actually gets the armband in a regular season game. I think once Zonka comes in, if he starts this match, you'll see him with the armband. Personally, I think you want a veteran to have that. Your leader in the locker room, and I think they see Zonka as that guy. Another interesting thing is that I think you have to start Novak Mitrovic in this match. You can't bench him after one game. You have to show him that, hey, we have more confidence in you than to just bench you after one game. Like, regardless of how you thought his performance was, if you're that reactionary as a coach, you're going to destroy his confidence, and he will not be the same player the rest of the year. It's one game. I've seen a lot of overreactions on the San Diego game, and I get it. The fact of the matter is this is not the same team as last year. We lost a lot of key pieces, and a lot of that had to do with MLS salary cap rules, and that's okay. It sucks. We have to deal with it, but let's not act like this is the same team. We're without Ricky Puig most of the year. It's not all doom and gloom. Like if we're still in 13th, by the way, 13th place brings me PTSD from 2023, but this is not 2023. I do not believe this is 2023, but you've seen injuries. We're going to talk about Amir Cuevas, who is actually out for the San Diego game. How long is he out? I don't know. Nobody really knows, but it was a hamstring injury for Cuevas, who you saw get some rotational minutes last year. In my opinion, he was the breakout player of the year. Obviously to get a starting spot over the Miki Amane is not going to happen imminently. But over the long run, I like Amir Cuevas in that spot potentially to develop into it. But yeah, which player? I actually have a question. Which player that we lost do you think we missed the most? Besides Ricky, obviously. Which player from the offseason that departed hurt the most? I'll give you my answer on this, but yeah, you got Brugman, Dayon, or Mark Delgado. Or just anyone outside? Which one hurt the most?
I think a sleeper pick is definitely Delgado. I think he was Vanny's like kid almost. He followed him from Toronto to LA. He knew his tactics, he knew his setup, and now he's going and scoring for LAFC, which really sucks. But that guy, he was Mr. Greg Vanny. He knew everything, and I think we're seeing that now with Sinagra coming in and not really getting the role that Delgado played.
I think it's Mark Delgado. I'm a Dejan Jovic lover since the day he's been here. I love that guy. I hope he does well in SKC, as bad as they are. He's going to starve for service there. And I've loved every second of him in LA, even in 2023 when everyone wanted him sold. I've loved him. That being said, I think Mark Delgado we're going to miss him. I think Mark Delgado did so many things in that midfield that, didn't show up in a stat sheet, didn't pop off the screen, but he kept the midfield ticking. And I think that was so evident this weekend on the lack of connectivity from the back to the front. You saw we couldn't get the ball out of our defensive third. We couldn't build up to the front three. And part of that's obviously Ricky. Like, he's not there to connect it, but a lot of it is Mark Delgado's there. He's mopping up, he's putting out fires. And he's like Greg Vanny on the field. So I think that one hurts. It obviously hurts more that he's gone to LAFC, but taking that part out of it, I still think that his impact is going to be missed a lot. I think Jovic, great player, fantastic player. I think he's, I don't want to say replaceable, but his stats are replaceable. His goals are replaceable. I think once Painsel's healthy, you stick a lot of strikers up top with that type of creation, and they're going to score goals. Maybe not 25 and 6 or whatever he got last year, but 15 and 5 or something like that. So it hurts me not to say Jovic, but I think it's Delgado.
Yeah, names.
Yeah, for me it's Delgado easily. Obviously it hurt him going to LFC, but if we put that beside, he was always covering the most ground. When they would put out the graphic of who covers the most ground, he was always in the top 3, and he wasn't 3 or 2. He was number 1. And he's been here since the start. So it kind of hurts that he left. Obviously, I don't think he wanted to leave. He definitely had another season here. Dejan also hurt too because the effort he put into the criticism he took early on when he came here. Everybody thought. His first season starting, he didn't do much, but then his second season as a starter, he popped off. He had a great season, and his goodbye post was also really sad. Saying like it's sorry it took so long for him to show everybody what he's like made of, but he ended up showing it. So I wouldn't say Delgado hurt the most though.
Yeah, I fully agree there. Mark Delgado was my pick beforehand. Just like you guys said, I think he covered so much ground that you're going to see that so much this season. He was like the perfect Vanny system player. There's a reason why he played with them, played under Vanny even back in Toronto, is because Mark Delgado is like the definition of a Vanny player. He covered so much ground. And he went underrated for so long too. It like took until we won MLS Cup for people to finally put respect on his name, because I would see the graphics every now and then with the most distance covered, but we never talked, like, I feel like the media never talked about him as an elite MLS midfielder until now that he's with LAFC. You see all the praise of Mark Delgado, and it's like, he was here all along. I always felt like he was this good. He's not doing anything differently with LAFC. He's the same player that he always was. And yeah, we for sure missed him most. I'm excited to potentially see a Nascimento debut. It'll be interesting. I'm sure he's practicing with the team, even though the P1 visa doesn't permit that, I don't believe. Like, without a P1 visa, he can't, but everyone does it anyway, to my knowledge. So I'm sure he's had practice since Coachella with the team. I don't think him starting would be an issue. But the club views him as a winger as well, to my knowledge. Not only just a striker. He can also play wing very capably. And if you're looking at someone to complement Gabriel Peck, get the two Brazilians on the wing with Christian Ramirez up top and just start feeding them. I'm very high on Nascimento, so I'd be interested to see if he starts this game against Vancouver. Galaxy runs LA, and Griffin, do you guys have any predictions? Because Memes and I had, I believe, both draws. Yeah. We both had draws. Do you guys have any predictions before we get into chat questions?
I think best case scenario is a draw. Just a player to watch out for. Jaden Nelson on Vancouver Whitecaps just got 4 goal contributions versus Timbers. Granted, it was against 10 men, but I was watching the highlights, but that guy's rapid. He is so quick. I think he plays with the Canadian national team. And yeah, so he's their right winger, so it'd be out his side, or Nelson's side. So yeah, Nelson v. Nelson on that side. So that'd be a interesting matchup to keep an eye on for him. And also Ryan Gauld. I kind of mentioned him earlier. He's just the ultimate workhorse, and he's techie. He's got everything he needs to be a great player in MLS. So definitely keep an eye out for those two in Vancouver. But I think we hopefully pull out a draw in Vancouver.
Yeah, I was gonna go draw as well. I was gonna go 1-1, but I can't go 1-1 now that both of you have. I gotta go different. I also don't want to go 2-2 though, because I don't see us scoring 2 goals, but I also don't see us keeping a clean sheet. But I'll go 2-2. I'll say 2-2. I think it's gonna be a frustrating draw though. It's gonna be one of those that it's not like a point stolen, it's like 2 points lost. But yeah, I think we'll score our first goal of the season. If we don't, that'll be awful. But yeah, I'm gonna go draw 2. I think if we lose, I might have to delete Twitter for a week because it's gonna be bad.
Oh man, it's nice being the villain of the league again, though. I will say, because you see everybody coming out now after we lost against San Diego to be like, "Oh, fraud MLS Cup champions." It's like, you were in hiding all off season. Yeah. Give me a break, brother. Like, we have 6 MLS Cups.
The worst is Red Bull fans coming out. It's like, you have no leg to stand on right now.
Yeah, Red Bull fans, come on, brother. You have 0 MLS Cups in 29 years. Like, not to play that game, but it's just like we are back to being villains of the league, and I love it, honestly, because that shows that we are the biggest club in MLS still, despite the past decade. And yeah, I'd like to open this segment up before we talk CONCACAF to chat questions, as we do. So if you have a question, just shoot it in the chat. If you want to direct it at somebody, they'll answer it. If not, we'll just go through the lineup, and yeah, so send them away. And yeah, we're getting some predictions in chat. We got our chat moderator Sean predicting a 2-1 loss. We got Samuel saying a 2-1 Galaxy, and E-Super saying 2-1 Vancouver. So we got some losses in the chat. I mean, I could see it with the rotation going in the lineup, and Vancouver's just a difficult place. And then our moderator says a 2-1 win with his favorite player Tucker Lepley scoring. So we'll see. We got Alex saying 1-1 draw, but we'll get into the questions here. Galaxy Memes, your thoughts on the players? If the players got enough rest this offseason, like, did we get a long enough break? Do you think that plays a factor?
No, the short answer is no. MLS Cup ended December 7th. And as soon as that, we had like a 2-3 week break, I'm guessing, and then it was just back to training. That's not enough for some of these guys, especially for like Painso, who had a season prior to that playing fully in Belgium and then playing another full season here in the MLS. I think Garces also had some games before he came here with not a break in Colombia. So, just taking that into account, you're not going to have some players that need a longer break. Unfortunately, that's just the toll of, make it to the final. You don't get a longer break than usual. And that kind of sucks because, injuries start creeping in. You see Painso obviously with an injury. What's his name? Fuck. Cuevas with an injury. Sorry, I blanked out. So, I mean, you see this stuff happen and damn, what the hell? And you see this stuff happen and you're like, yeah, it's because of the short break.
Yeah. And then, I totally agree. I don't think it's enough. But question from Adam. Who do you guys think will be the starting goalkeeper for the rest of the season? We'll start with Griffin. Griffin, you're muted.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think it's Misevic. I think that even just going back to Vanny's comments in preseason, if you kind of read between the lines, you can tell that he was kind of saying without saying, kind of Misevic is our guy this season until further notice. I think you see McCarthy on Tuesday, and I think that's a natural rotational game where McCarthy gets a shot, but it's also not dropping Mitrovic. If you drop him this Saturday or Sunday, it'll be tough on him, kind of like what we touched on earlier. But I think Mitrovic is your guy. I think they invested a lot of money in him from everything we've been hearing from the front office, from Vanny himself. I mean, it seems like all the signs kind of point to him. So unless he's making mistakes every week and McCarthy's playing well in CCL and Leagues Cup when we get there, I think he's your guy.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think Mikovic is a starter. I think if we do travel down to, where's that team? Herediano, I think that's Costa Rica. If we travel down there, I think we need McCarthy to guide that back line in that tough environment. So I definitely think McCarthy gets a start in Champions Cup and Mikovic for MLS for the rest of the season, unless something happens terribly. But I can't imagine Mikovic messes up that bad.
Yeah, names.
Yeah, I agree. I think Mikovic should start the rest of the season. Run McCarthy in the CONCACAF Champions League. I don't think everybody should jump the gun yet on Mikovic. I think he's definitely starting material. Just one game. It's too early in the season to tell. People shouldn't be jumping the gun. He's a really great keeper, and yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think Novak Mitrovic is your starter. In fact, I think the plan was to start him last year as well, but that didn't end up playing out because of the Leagues Cup whole situation with him requesting a trade in the Galaxy front office, not being too happy with him for that. So I think Novak is your guy this year. I don't think John McCarthy lost the spot as much as they just figured it was time to turn it over to Novak Mitrovic. Like, the guy wasn't going to sit on the bench another year. I don't think it's anything different this year. And either way, by the end of the season, we're gonna have an answer one way or the other if Novak Mitrovic is our guy or if he's not our guy. So it will be there. But we got another question that kind of goes right back on this: is should we trade John McCarthy in the middle of the season or let him ride the bench the rest of the year? And I'll answer this first. And I think that you should trade John McCarthy. I believe that you should, because I think you shouldn't carry 4 goalkeepers. We're thinking about maybe loaning them down before the end of the season. That didn't happen. So we are carrying 4 goalkeepers on the senior roster. It depends. I will say the stipulation is it depends on how much John McCarthy's value is around the league. But if you could clear that salary and then use that money to buy somebody in the summer, you do it. You pull the trigger on that. Absolutely. I know he's a good guy in the locker room. He just had a kid, but it's business. You saw it with Brugman. You saw it with all the fan favorite, good locker room guys. It's a business at the end of the day where you have to put yourself in the best position to win a championship. And if Novak's really your guy, I don't mind trading John McCarthy. Do you guys have different opinions on that?
I agree.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it also depends on how McCarthy takes not being the starter anymore. I think all the reports have been like he's a good guy in the locker room and things like that, but that's when you're starting and when you're enjoying it. So I think if the tables turn and he's not starting and he's not as good of a guy in the locker room, things like that, if he's kicking up a fuss a bit, there'd be no trouble finding a suitor for him in this league. I mean, he's a 2-time MLS Cup champion now, and he showed it. He's not on that much money, so I think it'd be super easy to move him. I think it's also we need to see what kind of shape condition Marcinkowski's in. We didn't see him much in Coachella. I think if he can go and if he can be the number 2 week in week out, then yeah, I'm fine with it. But yeah, I think you don't do anything now, but I think in the summer, yeah, maybe you reassess that and see. So
Yeah, Memes, you're shaking your head like you had a different answer here. You wanna say anything?
I mean, I just don't think we should trade him. I think he's just keep him from experience. That's really it. To be honest, I don't think we should trade him though. If anything, like maybe get rid of Brady Scott and put JT Marcinkowski in Ventura County, but that's probably not going to happen. It's unrealistic. But another question I want to move on to, moving out of the keeper situation, is let me find it in the chat. The question is it chemistry or talent that we're lacking, or the issue? And I just want to say that it's definitely 100% the chemistry. We have the talent. A lot of these guys, they're definitely championship caliber team material. And if we saw last season, we saw like how connected these guys were in the locker room. You would see that they would have like barbecues outside, and they were just really connected. And you see that in the Galaxy documentary on Apple TV that Ricky was always inviting Fagundes, Cáceres, and Bergman over, and out there for carne asadas and all that type of stuff. So it's definitely the chemistry right now that we're lacking. And yeah.
Yeah.
I think the easy fix, though. I think just have more those parties, get that team bonding up. I'm actually in charge of team bonding for my team, so I gotta get some ideas. So if you have any ideas, throw them in the comments. I can try to get some stuff going. But definitely, luckily, it's not a talent issue and it's a chemistry issue because that's easily solvable.
Yeah, Griffin.
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. I mean, I think we've lost some guys from last year, and the talent's definitely not as good as it was last year. But it's still a talented group. I mean, you see every MLS prediction, every person, whether it's an analyst, whether it's just someone making predictions, everyone knows this squad has talent. It's just about giving it time to click, letting the players gel, letting them get to know each other, let Vandy get to know them. Because I mean, it was only 2 new starters yesterday, but off the bench, I mean, we got quite a few new guys, and not necessarily new guys, but like even guys like Ruben Ramos weren't around all the time last year. They were with VCFC. They weren't really playing with the first team. Guys like Tucker Lepley, who might make a step up. So they're still on the team last year, but they're gonna have bigger roles this year, and they're gonna have to adjust to that.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more there. It's a chemistry issue. It's a chemistry issue, but like Galaxy Runs LA said, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Chemistry comes with time. A lot of these guys joined late into preseason. Lucas Sanabria, late into preseason, didn't get many minutes. Same with Christian Ramirez, trialist number 17. They didn't have a full preseason with this team. They didn't. I mean, Coachella's a good bonding place, but I don't think you got that full experience yet. As the season goes on, these guys will learn each other on and off the field, get to be familiar with one another, and develop close relationships. So I think it is. I think it's a lot more of a chemistry issue. This team's incredibly talented with or without Ricky Puig. Look at the names on that roster and tell me it's a bad roster. It's not. It's a very talented roster. Maybe not top in MLS right now without Ricky Puig, but it's up there. And it's just a matter of chemistry in my eyes. And once that comes along, I think we'll be fine. And then the last question that I wanted to get into was it said, what position should we sign in the summer window or prioritize from Sue FC? And I'll let Griffin start with this one.
I think it's probably a backup winger, I would say. It depends if Nascimento ends up playing out wide and they trust him out wide. I think then maybe it's a different story. But I think we have to see what they end up doing with Howday. if he continues to not start, then you got to move on from him, and you got to use that U22 spot, and maybe pick up a creative midfielder for Ricky's absence, or maybe a depth winger. I think those are kind of the two spots that jump out to me. Because let's go through it. Goalkeeper, you're fine. Center backs, you're fine. You could maybe use a better CB4, but that's not going to be like a number one on the priority list. Right backs, you're solid. Left backs, as of right now, you're solid. That's maybe one that if you move on from Aude, you need a backup left back for Nelson. Sixes, maybe a body behind Cerrillo, but you have Parente there who's been trusted to make a step up. Eights are good. Tens, you maybe need. That's where I would say you maybe need a little bit of depth. And then maybe on the wingers as well, especially if Peck moves on, which we'll see. If Painsel's injury issues follow him, then if one of those two things remains, then I think you need a backup winger. And then strikers, you're good. Unless Nascimento moves out to the wing and he's getting the bulk of his minutes there, then maybe you need a backup striker to back up Ramirez, because I love Miguel Berry, but yeah, the less than the better.
Galaxy runs out.
I think it's too early to tell. I think we need to see some more games, see what the team's got, see what the depth is like. Because ultimately, it's been one game. So we can't tell, oh, this person needs to go. This person is going to be staying for the rest of the year. So we'll see. There's a lot that can happen. We could move on from McCarthy. Obviously, moving on from Aude opens up a U22 slot. And yeah, so there's a ton of options with this roster. That's kind of what Wilkins has been kind of doing with the roster. He's been moving on players that have high cap space. So I'm excited to see what the roster is going to be like. But I think right now, I think we're good.
Yeah, Mims, did you hear the question?
Yeah, I think it's way too early to tell too. I agree with Tika. I just don't. Maybe like on the wing, honestly, that's like the only area I can really think we need depth. Just because of what we saw over the weekend. Maybe at the 8 as well. I'm not too sure. It's way too early to tell, to be honest. Just way too early.
Yeah, I also agree. I think if I had to pick right now, I would say they sign a U22 striker and move Nascimento and convert him as a winger. If I had to just take a shot in the dark right now, but that's not things can change easily with injuries and whatnot. I also wanted to cover quickly, because I've seen it a couple times in the chat, about the Galaxy playing a 4-3-3 with Royce at center mid. Royce is not a center mid. He is a center attacking midfielder. I know the lineup that we went over had Royce as a center mid, but I just wanted to clarify that Royce is a cam. We play in a 4-2-3-1 basically. And that has Royce at cam, and then Sanabria and Cerrillo in a double pivot. But we don't play a traditional 4-3-3. And I also think people overreacting on Royce needing to go. It's too early. It's one game. Give him time to adjust as the season goes on. He posted on his story, patience. We just need patience right now. We need time. But I wanted to transition to CONCACAF Champions League Cup. CONCACAF Champions Cup. We got a CONCACAF coming next week. It'll be our first game on I believe it's next Wednesday. I know it's pretty confusing right now with the scheduling, but I believe it will be Wednesday, which makes sense when you consider that we play Sunday to give us 2 days to rest and travel, which is still not much. But I do think it's a Wednesday match, and we will play the winner of RSL versus Herediana, and they play tomorrow. So we'll know tomorrow exactly who will play, but it will be on the road, and then the following week we will play at home at Dignity Health Sports Park. And yeah, I just wanted to throw out this question real quick. Which team would you rather see? Because RSL is not looking good right now. They just got thrashed by San Jose 4-0. Would you rather take the trade-off with the Galaxy having to travel all the way to Central America this week, or would you rather just see RSL?
I'd rather see RSL. I think I don't really rate RSL's roster outside, really Diego Luna. They got a decent back line, things like that, but they have no striker right now. Like, they have 3 strikers who have combined for, I think, like a handful of MLS goals in their career. They haven't replaced Arango yet. And I just think those Central American, South American trips always are harder than you expect. On paper, the Galaxy is better than most teams in Costa Rica. But those Central American trips, you never know what to expect. You see MLS teams get knocked out by Central American teams all the time, underestimating them, things like that. So I think the safer route is just to stick within MLS and play RSL. That being said, if we do get Herediano, I do think we take care of them. I could end up regretting this, but I'm not too scared of either of these teams. I think the real threats come a little later in the tournament. But yeah, both of these teams, we'll see. First leg was 0-0 draw in Costa Rica. There are still away goals in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, the CONCACAF edition, as opposed to UEFA. But so there are still away goals. So yeah, so a draw tomorrow in Salt Lake will send Herediano through into the next round. So Salt Lake will need to win at home. So yeah, look out for that one tomorrow. 0-0 in the first leg.
I think I hope RSL wins. Obviously, travel is not too far going one state across to Utah, so I think that's definitely the hope. Hopefully, that comes through. Obviously, Central America is not the place you want to be. RSL, they aren't the greatest team, but they went to their place and they tied 0-0. So anything can really happen, especially with these unknown teams. They're the ones that you want to keep an eye out for because they cause upsets. There's always one upset. I think it was Austin FC lost to like Comunicaciones last year or something crazy like that. Like you don't want to be on that side of a embarrassing loss. So I'm hoping RSL.
Memes.
Yeah, I'm gonna say RSO just for traveling purposes. I think going to Central America is just gonna be so tough for the players traveling wise. You're gonna get super tired. It's better just to go to Utah and just be a shorter flight, shorter recovery and everything like that.
Yeah, no, I'll play devil's advocate here then. I think it'd be fun to see the Galaxy play in Central America, just peak CONCACAF ball. You know the type of pitches these teams tend to play on in Central America when you watch these CONCACAF games are not very good pitches. So maybe logically, yeah, with travel and then worrying about player injury, you'd want to see the Galaxy just, make a flight up to Salt Lake, take it easy. We don't get to see these teams often. And I will say, if you're looking for the easier matchup, maybe RSL is the easier one right now because they are the worst team in Major League Soccer, in my opinion, right now. Without Chicho Arango, this team is nothing. And they made almost no moves in the transfer window. And they're just like, we ball. And it's not paying off very good for them right now. So I think either one of these teams would win. But I think it'd be more fun to see the Galaxy play in Central America. I mean, that was the thing with CONCACAF that had me excited was like, you know what? Let's see the Galaxy play some teams we've never played before or we almost never get to play. And I'm all for it. I'm all for a good competitive match. So I'll play a devil's advocate here. But I think either way, we'll go over official game preview on Tuesday's podcast for this match. But I think it'd be fun to see RSL or Galaxy versus Herediano, but either way,
I just want to say I agree with you. I would love to see the Galaxy go down to Central America. I would rather, like from a Galaxy win percentage perspective, I would rather than play RSL because I think we have a better chance there. But from a fan for entertainment perspective, I would love to see us go down to Central America. I think a game like that, the Galaxy coming down there. You've got a lot of fans in the stadium, as opposed to a midweek game where the Galaxy go into RSL. How many times have you seen that as an RSL fan? That's not gonna sell tickets. Whereas the Galaxy going down to Central America, going down to Costa Rica for the first time in 10 plus years, that's gonna be something. That's gonna be a tough crowd to play against, and it's gonna be fun to watch. And it'll be good to see hopefully some Galaxy fans making the journey down there. I'm sure there will be some. And some Galaxy fans who live in Costa Rica, things like that. But yeah, I would love to see the Galaxy go down to Costa Rica, but I'm sure Vanny does not want to go down there and wants to play RSL. So
yeah, Galaxy runs out.
Yeah, I'm on Team RSL.
Memes.
Yeah, Team RSL too, but it would be fun to go play in Costa Rica. Just imagine it raining and being all muddy. Yeah, that would definitely be a fun match.
For sure. Yeah. I wanted to transition to the last official topic for tonight, which is the March schedule right now. And then you see the to be TBC is the CONCACAF RSL or Herediano. But you see a busy March schedule, perhaps unlike we've ever seen in the past 10 years from the Galaxy, or at least since the last time we're in CONCACAF, is the schedule this loaded so early on. And you talk about the injuries to Joseph Paintsil, man, it might get a bit rough here with the amount of rotation. We're already pretty thin on depth, but I think you also need to be very cautious with players like Marco Reus in these games, because when you play this amount of games, a player at his age cannot do that. They cannot play that many. They cannot play that many matches. And it just clicked in my head. When we talked about earlier who would captain the team if Maya Yoshida were not starting, if Marco Reus is starting, I think he is the captain, by the way. But I don't think he starts. Anyway, we got a lot of games here. I believe it's 8 matches. And yeah, what do you guys make of the schedule? You guys all right with this, or are you a bit worried?
I'm very worried. I should a quick calculation.
It's
7 games in 31 days. That's a game every 4.5 days, and that's just absurd. Obviously, everyone wants to play and get minutes and all, but traveling with all that, he got obviously, hopefully not a trip down to Costa Rica. You have a trip to Portland, which isn't too bad, and then a trip to Minnesota, and Minnesota is always rough. So it's going to be some tough games coming up.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a lot. It's a lot. I think about in a college soccer season, you're not even playing this much. This is you're maybe playing comparable to this, but those are huge rosters. It's obviously the college level. It's a lot lower, but you're not even playing this much at that level. So the fact that you're playing this much at a professional level is crazy. I can think of 2 positives that come out of this though, or 3 positives that come out of this. One, it gives the team a lot of time to gel on the field. It gives them a bunch of chances to do that, and they're going to learn, and they're going to maybe learn through failure in some of it, but it'll give them the chances to do that. 2, none of these games, bar Minnesota away, scare me that much. Vancouver away, always a little bit of a trap game. It is what it is. They're not that good, though. They could very well beat us, but they're not that good of a team. CCL, we'll see what happens. St. Louis is a good team, but at home, I think we'll be fine. Portland away, Portland's not been great. It's an easy little trip up the coast. And then Orlando at home. Orlando wasn't great last year. You never know what to expect with those East versus West games, though. But the only one that really jumps off the page as ooh, that's a tough game is Minnesota away. And that one's towards the later half of the month when it's with a good amount of rest on either side of that game. And then the third one is just as a Galaxy fan, this is so exciting seeing this many games coming. There's been so many times when it's so many other teams are playing in CCL, so many other teams are playing in the Open Cup, and we have nothing. We're sitting watching all these other teams play, waiting for the Galaxy to play. So I think it's so fun to think about that we get all this time to watch the Galaxy coming up. Midweeks, 4 p.m. Sunday games, midday games, all kinds of games. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, memes.
This is literally a high school soccer schedule. It's crazy. It really worries me that we have this many games. I'm hoping there's going to be no injuries. But I do see a positive, and that positive is with this many games, you're going to get chemistry out of it, which is good. You're going to get chemistry with the players. You're going to, get to them a little bit more, how they play, fit with the system. And that's really only the positive I really see. Tough games for me, I'm going to say, is Minnesota and Portland. Those 2 games are definitely going to be tough. Hopefully we get more wins than losses. I do see some draws though, probably with Orlando, just because they're such an inconsistent team. They have a good game and then they have a bad game. So who knows?
Yeah.
Hey, well, I might be there for the Portland game, and I haven't seen the Galaxy lose in 3 years in person. So it's all right. I'll be there to take care of it.
Hey, you better show up.
Now that I said that, I just jinxed it. But that's also because I live halfway across country and haven't seen the Galaxy play in person. And I haven't seen them since 2023. But
Yeah, I brought my friend to his first Galaxy game on the home opener, and I told him that you are not coming back after that. That was our first loss since 2023 at home, and it happened to be your first game. You are out. But I also wanted to give a quick shout to the LA Vancouver game. All of the away games this year, we will have a live pod during. So keep a close eye out on that. As the game's going on, we will have live commentary and updates. I know I'll be there. I believe Griffin might, as well as Sean. So we're gonna have a pretty good lineup for that game to do a live podcast. So if you're looking for extra commentary during that game, maybe you don't like the Apple TV commentators, or maybe you just want our insight on it, feel free to tune in. It'll be the same live on this Talkin Galaxy channel. We'll post it. If you're active on our socials, you'll see it. I'm pretty excited for that, honestly, because normally we don't get to have good coverage over these away games, but I think it'll be pretty exciting. So yeah, I just wanted to give a quick shout to that. And Griffin, are you excited? Are you excited?
Yeah, I am excited. I think if anyone knows, I can't remember that guy's name. There's a guy who does it for SKC who's been doing it for a while. Who's
Kevin Show?
Yeah,
Yes.
and he's great. So like that. He's great. Kind of going for that kind of vibe. Mark Goldbridge, same kind of thing. So yeah, if you're watching the game and you hate Taylor Twellman as much as most Galaxy fans do, just put the game on mute and sync the stream up, our stream up to wherever you are at in the game. We'll try to make it sync up as well as possible for us. We'll put a clock up for us so you guys are all even with where we're at. You can sync it up so we're not, reacting to stuff before you guys or vice versa. But yeah, I'm super excited for it. We'll all just, hang out here and watch the game together. So yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah. And then let's just open up this last segment for any last chat questions, and then we'll make our way out of here. But yeah, if you got any questions, send them over, whether it's about the Vancouver game or anything about San Diego, or just Galaxy questions in general. We're here. You could once again direct them at any person, or just let us all take them. And Galaxy Runs LA, you have anything you want to say here?
Yeah, I remember seeing earlier someone was asking about what were our thoughts on the new stadium renovations. Obviously, me, Peyton, and Memes were all there for the game. So what did you guys think of the stadium?
Memes?
I really like the bathrooms.
Yeah, I did not go to the bathrooms that game, but the thing that kind of popped out to me most, I know I've been keeping an eye on like Galaxy Runs LA. You kept very good coverage on your Instagram account over all the stadium renovations. So it was interesting seeing that go on as the off season, with all the seats. But what really stood out to me more than anything was the repainting of the walls and all the new concession stands was like really trippy, honestly, because it looked like, I don't know why, I just got this like Black Ops kind of vibe out of it, like something you'd see out of a Black Ops game. I have no clue why, honestly. Like it just looked very futuristic. You're seeing the Galaxy go very modern here. You saw even with the Galaxy Go, the new technology that's in all the stadiums with just being able to sync your card up and then being able to grab like a water or any snacks, and then just, you don't have to go through like a line or register. You just get it and go. You see it, the Galaxy are modernizing, and I really like that because Dignity Health Sports Park is a very old stadium compared to these other MLS stadiums. You see all these new expansion teams come in and get flashy, shiny new stadiums. I love the digs, but if we're being honest, it did need these renovations. And yeah, I was super excited to see it in person. But I was curious what you thought was your favorite part of Galaxy Runs LA.
The pizza. The pizza is crazy good. I remember I was at MLS Cup, had a free voucher for free food. I got a pizza that was god awful. But I gotta say, they made a redemption arc, and it was actually pretty good. It was like really flaky, or like, I don't know how to explain it. I'm not a foodie or anything, but like it was very soft, and I don't know, I enjoyed it. So recommend the pepperoni pizza if you're hungry, need something.
Bro, the pizza was so bad. Let's go. Wait, let's go back. The pizza was so bad. I
It was
like the
way
old
better.
pizza
It
way
improved.
better.
No chance.
What?
No
Yo,
chance.
Oh my god, the new pizza sucked.
Yeah, I don't know.
Worst
about
$20 I've ever spent.
I don't like I just got this burger joint in Huntington Beach after the game. I did not eat any concessions, but I had like shaved ice when I first got there because they have like a pretty strict water policy. So I was just like, I'll get some shaved ice before I head into the stadium. And that was good. That was really good actually. It was like $8. It's just it's so overpriced. I was gonna get pupusas, but the line was like really, really long before the game, and I was like, I am not waiting in that. So I actually did not have like a very good experience at the game because of the ACB overfill. It forced me out to the section alongside Victoria Block. Man, like if you're watching a game, like it's fine if you're just there for like tactical analysis. But I have season tickets in ACB. Like I want to be there. I want to be like getting active. I want to chant. And it was I get why people buy tickets in ACB or the supporter section. It's the cheapest ticket for a sold out game. So I get that. But man, it's just frustrating because like after San Diego scored, I felt like it went really quiet. And that was a bit frustrating because it was like, man, throw me in there, bro. Like throw me in there. I don't care what the score is. I will be there. I will be there no matter what. But it's just that wasn't a good experience for the first game. But I don't think it'll happen again this year. We got another question. Who scores the next goal for the Gal? Who scores our first goal of the season? Basically, I had this question up on my Instagram for San Diego, and that did it just didn't happen. We didn't score, which was surprising. But Griffin, you wanna start us off here?
Yeah. Before I answer that one, I just want to say I'm so excited to be back. Like I said, the last time I was there, it was, I was watching Chicharito and Tyler Boyd while during a boycott. Like that's how long it's been. So the experience at the stadium then was not great. So to see all these upgrades and things like that, I'm super excited to be back. But that's the first goal. I mean, I think the easy answer is Peck. But I'm not gonna go with the easy answer, so I'm gonna go with I think Christian Ramirez gets one on Sunday. I think maybe he doesn't start, but I think he gets one.
That's a good shout.
So-
Galaxy Gonzalez.
Funny. I don't want to sound like following a sheep or anything, but I thought it was going to be Ramirez. I think that he's obviously at the 9th position. Ball's going to be coming to him. I think he gets a goal on the weekend, and that's going to be our first one.
Memes.
You guys are probably gonna think I'm joking, but I'm not. I really think it's gonna be Miguel Berry. He had a really good chance of scoring last game. I don't know if you guys saw that when the ball came in down the middle, but unfortunately it was a good save. I do think he's gonna be the first one to score. Mark my words. Someone clip this.
Oh, we
Is
will.
it-
Put a pepperoni,
We
put
will.
a pepperoni pizza.
Is it
on
gonna
it.
be
The pepperoni. Huh?
Yeah.
Is it gonna be this
Yeah.
weekend or is it gonna be in a month?
Nah, this weekend, trust.
Yeah,
I bet it.
This weekend we will score. And I don't want to go boring here, but I'll go Gabriel Peg. Shamefully, I mean, it's just gonna happen. This guy he's gonna have an MVP type season, and he's gonna carry the team on his back. And if the Whitecaps blink for a split second, he's one of those players who will get on the score sheet the instant you make a mistake. And the moderator says Tucker Lepley, of course. So we got Lepley shouts in here, and then we'll go last question for tonight. Thoughts on the Galaxy set piece defending? I really enjoy watching Novak Mitrovic because I think the hardest I celebrated that game was when he came out for a corner kick, because you did not see that with John McCarthy last year. He was very reserved, very passive when it came to corners, and pretty much the team could spray it anywhere they wanted in our penalty area and it would land there, and often on another player's head when it came to our set piece defending. So I was very pleased with Novak Mitrovic being in goal. Maybe we'll still concede set pieces, but I don't think it'll be as much with him in goal. I think that is part of the reason why he's in net. So I was pleased with that, at least in our first game. You guys?
I agree. I think it's only a small sample size. Like I don't even remember what it was. A handful of corners, a handful of set pieces, but I can remember the one you're talking about, Peyton, and I was celebrating as well.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, could very easily eat my words and see us concede a corner on Sunday. I would not be surprised, but I do think that's something that hopefully we've ironed out. I think even at the back end of last season, it got a lot better. Kind of with the inclusion of Garces, even though he's not as great in the air, but it just seemed like we kind of ironed it out a little bit. We still obviously had a little bit of set piece woes, but it got better, and I think it's only going to get better, continue to get better this season. So yeah.
Yeah, what's it called? During Coachella, I think the only goals we conceded were off corner kicks. I'm pretty sure there was, let's see, we conceded one against Chicago, I believe, and one against Minnesota. So hopefully history doesn't repeat itself when we concede more. But obviously, so far, so good in the regular season, and hopefully, don't jinx it.
Yeah, memes.
Yeah, hopefully it's not like last season where we were conceding every corner kick. Migovic definitely comes out, which is really helpful. As a keeper, you should be doing that regardless.
Mhm.
I don't think we had any defending or maybe we had like corner kicks, but I don't think like any like free kicks swinging into the box. So, hopefully our defending set pieces are a lot better this year, because if not, then fire that guy who's ever on set piecing.
Yeah, I fully agree, but I think that will do it for tonight. Galaxy play once again Vancouver. We will have a live podcast during the game on Sunday at 2 p.m., not 4 p.m. And yeah, as for me, I'm LA_Galaxy_Buzz on Instagram. And Griffin?
Yeah, I'm at Talking. I'm the main one on the Talking Galaxy Instagram account. But if you want to do just me, you can also find me at Griffin at Griffin Weiss on Instagram. It's just my personal account. So
Just Galaxy runs LA. It's plain and simple.
Simple as. All right,
Yes.
Galaxy memes.
I'm LA Galaxy memes, I guess.
Okay. All right. Have a good night, everyone.